Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Philadelphia chapter of Conscious Capitalism. You are in the second of a series of the 4 pillars of conscious capitalism. And today we have with us the founding members and a good amount of the executive team of Bloom Planners. And they're going to outline their approach for stimulating, encouraging, and allowing to flourish a conscious culture. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Paul Alford, who's one of the co-founders of the Philadelphia chapter. Nick Melillo is is our coordinator, and please go ahead and introduce introduce yourselves as you come in, and keep in mind that this is the second in a series. There will be others, and please shoot us an email. We'll make sure we put in the chat what that email is, so that we can keep you on the list and involve you in one of the most exciting parts of business that's out there, the higher purposes of being in business to elevate humanity. So, Paul, you want to jump in?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Paul Alford. As Greg mentioned, I'm part of the board here of Conscious Capitalism Philadelphia. I am the president and CEO of the Springboard companies, one of those companies being Bloom. So I'm so excited to have my coworkers with us today as well. Nick Melillo is our chapter coordinator. And Nick, you're going to introduce the idea of conscious culture. So last week we talked about purpose. The second pillar we're talking about is culture. So Nick, do you want to introduce culture?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Paul. So conscious culture is obviously one of the 4 pillars of conscious capitalism, the others being purpose, like Paul mentioned, stakeholder orientation, and conscious leadership. But today, we're super excited to talk about conscious culture because we have a company with us, an organization, Bloom, who really exemplifies what a conscious culture is all about. And really, you know, on the conscious capitalism side, the textbook definition says a lot of words and has a lot of nice sounding sentences that really just boils down to a spirit of trust and cooperation among all of the organization's members and its stakeholders. So the question today is kind of a multiple part question, and we're going to kind of dive into some details, but really the question is, what is your company culture? How do you exemplify it? How do you act on it, not only with your own teammates and team members, but also with the stakeholders of an organization? And then finally, what are we doing right now during the coronavirus, the quarantine, all of the things that are going on surrounding that in our economy, to keep that culture moving and thriving, so that when we get out on the other end of it, we're an even stronger organization than we started. So that said, I'm super excited to jump in. And I will throw it over to Michelle so she can introduce herself and let us know who she is.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Askin. I'm Bloom's co-founder and production manager. So I've been with Bloom for about 10 years now, and we've been part of Conscious Capitalism for probably the past 4, like knowingly, but I'd like to think that we've always been a conscious company. We just kind of found the organization. We're like, wow, this is a complete total fit for us. I think that culture is by far one of the most important. I mean, they're all very important pillars, but that's the one that is kind of woven into all the other ones. It's something that isn't just a page in your manual. It's something that is in every single interaction that you have with your coworkers, with your stakeholders, in leadership meetings. It's something that you're actively working on and building with every single interaction. And I think it's just so important for hiring, for maintaining talent, and for really getting your message out to your customers and connecting with them on a deeper level. So we think our culture is the most important thing. It's something we really focus on, what we hire for, what we reinforce every day. And we're hopeful that we can give you guys some tangible takeaways with what Bloom does to reinforce our culture that can really help you implement it in your company today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kaylyn Minix. I'm the other co-founder of Bloom, and we're excited to join you today. So, like Michelle said, culture is just so very important to us. We really pride ourselves on having such a family-like environment in our company, and it also translates outside of our company. So we're so excited to tell you about some of our traditions and how we run some of our company meetings, especially like Nick mentioned during quarantine, and how we're keeping that company culture alive. And just a little bit more about myself, I'm also the operations director. I specialize in a lot of shipping and logistics, but yeah, we're excited to join you today.
Cool, thank you very much. And then we also have John on the call, so I'll throw it over to John Raffanello. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Raffanello. I am the Chief Financial Officer for Bloom, and I joined this call today because I was very interested in hearing about Conscious Capitalism's meetings, and I'm also part of Bloom, so I'm here for Kaylyn and Michelle and gonna enjoy their presentation today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, John.
And John, I'd like to add that as a American flag manufacturer, the Flag Zone does those throughout the United States. I so appreciate your background, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Cool.
Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, no problem. So I just wanted to throw it back over to Paul, and maybe Paul, you can give us just a little bit of an idea, like a 30,000-foot overview of Bloom's culture, kind of the basis of it, the foundation of it.
I think I'll leave that up to Kaylyn and Michelle. I mean, it really is something that we totally co-created. But with just in general, conscious capitalism, like I'll say, when we all do a book report every year, and we read Kip Tyndall's book, Uncontainable, and there it talked about John Mackey's book, Conscious Capitalism, and we really just found our tribe. And as a company, you know, together we co-created this culture. And when we walked into our first conference, Conscious Capitalism conference, we're like, oh my gosh, all these people are just like us. Like Kaylyn and Michelle were there, like, wow, all these people, you know, are cut of a similar cloth. And the one thing I like about this series that we're putting together, and I know Kaylyn and Michelle will really extrapolate on this is where like the rubber hits the street. You know, behind me, there's a bunch of different theories, but we're really excited to share how you put those into practice. So I'm really going to leave it up to them. They're the experts in it. So I'm going to throw it over to Michelle. And Michelle, you want to walk us through Bloom's culture?
Sure. Do you want me to share my little PowerPoint?
Sure. Maybe show us all that checklist and all the things that that you guys implement with the teams.
Absolutely. Just 1 second. Okay, so this is a presentation on pretty much all of Conscious Capitalism. It's one that Kaylyn and I gave to University of Delaware about a year ago, so it's a little bit outdated, and it covers all the pillars, but I'm just going to skip around. I think the most important part of culture is hiring people, hiring the right people. You really can't, if you hire the wrong person, it's going to be so much more of a struggle to get them to fit into that mold. If you hire somebody who already exemplifies the core values of your company and truly really cares, it's going to be so much more effortless. And that's something that we really look for at Bloom when we're in the hiring process. We're looking for somebody who aligns with Bloom's values, and one of them is having a good heart. So just some like tangible takeaways. Of course, in an interview, we're going to ask them about their work experience, and we're going to look over their resume and their work and ask them like the technical questions. But we always make sure that we throw in some more like personality and heart-based questions in our interview process. And some of my favorites, we ask them what the last random act of kindness they've ever done was, which is really telling because our company is really big on giving back. We do lots of give back lines. We volunteer our time together. We do give back projects that are 100% donated. So that's a really big value for us. And we want to make sure we're hiring people who have that natural philanthropy and give back component in their heart. So we asked about their last act of kindness. We asked them to show a picture in their phone, and that means something special to them, and explain why that is so special to them. And that's just a fun way to kind of like open somebody up when they're in this formal interview. You can really see more of their heart and personality and what they value as a person on a little bit of a deeper level. And as part of their homework process, we give them some of our act of kindness cards, and we ask them to perform an act of kindness and let us know what they did with that. Kaylyn, are there any other questions that you can think of that are more like culture based?
No, I definitely wanted to emphasize the act of kindness and how we created a product based on that. But I think it's just really unique how we celebrate them first and just absolutely spoil our newly hired employees on their first day. So like we have noted, it's a party on their first day. They come in, their desk is decorated, they have a card signed from everybody in the office. We make sure to do company lunch all together so we can introduce everybody, go over everybody's responsibilities, and really take that time to get to know each other and show them how much we care and how excited we are to welcome them into our family. We have also instituted a new little gift card that we give them a gift card to go out to dinner with their significant other or somebody special in their life that evening, so that they can tell them about their great first day and just their unique experience. And I don't think many companies that, at least that I know of, do that. So I think that's really unique to us.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting how, like, a lot of companies, they celebrate it when someone leaves, and you guys are saying you celebrate it when they come.
Exactly.
Curious, have you found that that has helped to reduce employee turnover? Because many of the companies that I've worked with they've identified how expensive it is to hire and bring in new talent. Have you seen that that's reduced your turnover rate?
I'd say definitely. I think that our feedback we get from when we started, this is actually a template that we have in a task management program we use called Asana. So this is like fluid. We use this and we duplicate it every single time. But every single time we have a new person start, we're going through and tweaking this template and adding new things, or if something didn't really go that well, we can take it off. But it kind of just like what's the word for it? McDonaldizes, like it makes it really, everyone has the same experience when they come in, and it makes it really uniform. So the feedback that we get from this is like, wow, like I went home and I told my boyfriend, like, no, I know what other company has ever done this on a first day. We went out to dinner, they paid for my dinner, I got to talk about all the fun things I did. And I think it just drives home immediately from the beginning that, hey, like we really care about you. We're investing our time in you. And that is the best gift you can give someone sometimes, is just your undivided attention. So when we take the time out of our day and say, hey, the entire company is going to stop what they're doing. We're going to have a lunch. We're going to learn more about you. We're going to block off this time for meet and greets and a card and lunch and just these questions that we all want to get to know you with. That just means so much to people, because it is so rare. Everyone is so busy. It's so easy to say, oh, I have a meeting, I have so much to do. But that is going to make that person on board so much faster and feel connected so much faster that you're actually investing in their future productivity, because they feel connected to you right away.
Yeah, I think on the topic of feeling connected to the whole company, I see on the first day there's a synergy circle around the new hire. I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about a synergy circle and how that works on the first day, and what kind of reaction you might see from the new person.
Yeah, this is a tradition that we absolutely love and institute in not only our onboarding process, but with a lot of our customers and vendors. So a synergy circle is a way that everybody in the company can give some love, encouragement, and support to whoever the focus of the synergy circle is on. So for example, on an employee's first day, at the end of the day, everyone will come into the conference room and we will stand in a circle with the new employee being in the middle, and we'll go around one at a time and give them kudos and compliments and just really showing them how impressed we were and how excited we are for them to join the team. And you just truly see their faces light up, and this is something that energizes them and inspires them. Some people get emotional and might even cry, and they'll share with us that it's something they've never experienced, and they just take that to heart, and it truly just makes such an impact on the first day. So that's something that we really treasure and value at Bloom.
I notice here, give personality tests and have key to relate to others. What do you mean by key to relate to others, and how does the test help that?
Yeah, so we use the DISC test at Bloom, DISC. So I think it's about $49 per test, and everyone in our company has done it. So we have in our conference room a chart of where everyone falls on this chart. And like I'm a DI, so I'm the top left. And it's like dominance. I forget what it stands for, but it basically just shows how their work personalities fall within a collective group, and then how you relate to other people. And it's really, really interesting. So I think a natural tendency of companies, of someone hiring anyone, you naturally are drawn to people who are similar to you. You just like their personality, you like what they're saying. But what we actively try to do at Bloom is hire people who balance out the circle. And we don't want to have a bunch of course, we're a very creative company. We can do a lot of design work and create new products. So it's easy to hire a lot of people that are idea generators and really creative and like to make things. But we also need to balance out our circle and actively seek out those people who want to do more of like the operational type components and more of like the back-end data entry, because that's so important. And if you load your company up with people who are too similar, you can really easily get caught in groupthink and just not really balancing out your strengths and weaknesses evenly, and it can get really skewed. So we love doing that DISC test to figure out where we're missing like a potential strength and hire intentionally to fill that spot. And the key is actually, the test is really cool because you sign on as a company. So it shows you how within your group, I could relate to Kaylyn. So it'll say like, oh, I'm a DI, Kaylyn's an SC. We probably see the same on like A, B, and C. We probably disagree about this, this, and this, and here's how you can better communicate. So we'll use that key at our company retreats and kind of use that as like a conversation starter. And it's crazy accurate. It's really, really cool how well they kind of hit the nail on the head with people's personalities and how they interact. And they give you really good tangible tips on how to improve communication with different people in your group. So highly recommend that.
Michelle, in Kip Tyndall's book Uncontainable, he talks about the 1=3 types of employees. So they're looking for those folks who will outperform everybody else. And yes, it's a series of interviews, and they are certainly looking for certain personality types. Have you actually, I know Kip talked about it, for the Container Store. There was also a discussion about it for the Whole Foods founder. Have you also seen that at Bloom?
Well, we definitely hire based on, like I was saying, like culture and heart. And I think that that's been extremely successful for us because like Kaylyn, Paul, John, and I, like Bloom is our baby and we love it so much and we just intrinsically care. And sometimes it's almost hard to like give away responsibilities and offload things on your plate to others because you're like, will they care as much as I do? But when we hire people who are passionate about planning our products. They've already used our products. They're passionate about giving back. They're passionate about continuous growth and self-improvement, and all of those core values of Bloom. It's so much easier to get them excited and get them connected and to trust them, because like you can teach anyone a skill for the most part. I mean, not every single thing can be taught, like graphic design or anything like that, but for the most part, you can teach people how to do a job, but you can't teach them like how to care as much as you would care. So that has been really successful for us. We find people, no matter where they are on that circle, as long as they have that foundation of a really good heart, we found success with keeping them as an employee.
Now, I know Bloom is a process and it's a concept. It's also an acronym, right? So what's the acronym of Bloom mean?
Well, it means different things to different people, but I say it's believe in yourself. Well, I think this is yours. Mine is, we kind of change it up. So mine is kind of like a formula for blooming. So be inspired, love yourself, organize your goals, outline priorities, and make it happen. But different people in our company kind of take the meaning and do what they want with it, because there's a lot of interpretation, lots of ways to bloom.
Awesome.
Well, we've talked a lot, and we could probably talk even more about onboarding and bringing on new people, bringing people into the culture. But I'd like to move a little bit into, once the employee is established and we've got this team, what types of things do we do as an organization to kind of keep a culture of blooming, so to speak, without being too punny?
Lots of flowers.
Some of our weekly traditions, we have team huddles twice a week. So everyone will come into the conference room, we'll stand around. It's a standing meeting, supposed to be fast-paced, high energy, and everybody is sharing their updates. But more importantly, we start our meetings with good news. So we ask for good news from our employees, and we want to know, it's not just all business related. We want to know what's going on in their personal lives, how they're doing, what makes them happy and inspired. So we start with good news from our employees. We move on to good news from our customers. We want to hear how our customers and users are being inspired by using our products. So we go through some different customer feedback and reviews, and then we go through our top ones and priorities. In our team huddles, we also do some fun team builder games. I know we have some photos of that a little bit later on, but we just try to mix it up, keep the energy high, like I said, get creative, and have these games that really bond us together. We've had some team survivor games where you're running around trying to put puzzles together. We've had different relay race games where you have chopsticks and you're trying to move jelly beans across the conference room. But it really just brings the fun and excitement, and it makes a big difference, because it's easy to just get caught up in your day and your daily routine and your activities. But this is a time that we all come together, we all take a break, and we just have some fun with each other and share some personal and professional updates. So that's one thing. And then I know, if Michelle, you want to go back to the office fun, we also have some weekly traditions in our office. We do a meditation Monday, we do wall sit Wednesday, plank challenge Friday. And so you see some pictures here, but bringing it back to the current time in quarantine, we've also tried to bring some of these fun weekly traditions and weekly themes to our Bloom community via social media. So we're trying to get creative and just show our community what we actually do in the office. So now we're hosting different meditation Mondays on our Instagram Live or IGTV every Monday. We're having a Talk With Us Tuesday about different topics. This Tuesday, I interviewed working moms so that they can give tips and tricks and support to other moms in the community. We have Wellness Wednesday. We have Creative Thursday, where we're doing different design tutorials and things to stay busy. We did do some plank challenge Fridays on our Instagram, and we just are trying to bring that fun and culture and show our Bloom community what we normally do in the office and kind of, you know, mix it up for this unique quarantine time.
Yeah, I think an important part of this like office fun part too is these things that we're talking about really don't take that much time. I can see like a bigger company kind of rolling their eyes like, oh, they just like play games all day, and we're like it looks like we're not actually working. We're working all day. The plank challenge is literally 2 minutes, and it's just we schedule it and kind of operationalize it. So now it's just part of our habits. And at 12 o'clock on Friday, my phone alarm goes off and we all get down and we do a plank for 2 minutes. And it's just like a silly, fun way to kind of like shake up your day, take a little break, laugh, connect with your coworkers. And it took 2 minutes. So it's not like these little things are going to take away from productivity. If anything, they add to it because you need breaks sometimes. We can all get in the zone where we're just so quiet, like working away, and then we're like, hey, like let's just have a little second to kind of breathe and laugh, you know, and like have fun for a second. And then you go back to your desk and you're so much more refreshed because you had that little mental break and you got to connect with other people. So these little things that we do, Meditation Monday is a 5-minute like stretching exercise, plank challenge is 2 minutes. So it doesn't have to be some big event where you're spending any money or taking a lot of time. It can really be like a very quick thing. And I think the important part of it is the habit of it and the routine. Like we always have our huddles at the same time on Tuesday and Thursdays. We have our morning calls during quarantine at the same time. We do different formats on different days, but everyone knows what's expected, and it just kind of creates that effortless routine and gives people like a good structure. And it kind of just operationalizes that culture where you don't have to think about it. It's part of your schedule already.
Yeah, I would just like to quickly mention that some planks are more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, yours are longer. Mine last about 2 minutes.
Otherwise, no, I do really appreciate these fun things in the office, and like each day has a different portion, and how you can integrate your customers and the Bloom girls, the Bloom community now via social media into those days. And you mentioned, I think Michelle, before you mentioned retreats. Just curious if we could talk a little bit about that, because I know a lot of culture, even cultural routines and things that come out of retreats, but what happens maybe on retreats that help bond that company culture even more?
Yeah, definitely. So we do 1 to 2 retreats per year. We typically do a smaller one in the fall where we're lucky to be close to the beaches. So we go down in the off season, usually around like October or November, and get a house for the weekend. And I think a really cool part of our culture is whenever we do any kind of trip, we all stay in one big house, get an Airbnb or something like that, some kind of rental. And it really enforces our family-like culture because it feels like you're on vacation with your family. You're living in the same house, you're cooking breakfast together, you're hanging out outside. In a hotel room, you're kind of more like you have your own little oasis, but it creates that natural community space, and it just opens up a lot more dialogue outside of like the structured company time where you can really connect with people in a way that you wouldn't get to in the office when you're a little bit more busy. So that's one way that we do it. We always make sure we have an Airbnb. And on the retreats, we mix in obviously some work stuff. So we try and live our mission, and we take all this time to reflect. Bloom is all about reflecting, planning, setting goals. So during our retreats, we look back on what we've accomplished that year, we reflect, and then we plan for the new year. And a really important part, we always integrate a book. So Bloom's mission is to always be blooming into a better version of yourself. And we make sure that at every retreat, we're reading a book. And before anyone can get a raise in our company, part of their review process involves reading a new book. And they get to kind of co-pick that book with Paul. based on what they kind of want to learn. But for the retreat, everyone reads the same book. So we can all kind of speak the same language at the retreat and go through those lessons together and how to apply it to Bloom. So we're doing like workshops like here, like actually going through the book and figuring out how we can apply it. And then we also, as part of the retreat, when we go to Florida, let me find it, we volunteer. So we go to Give Kids the World. Kaylyn, do you want to talk about Give Kids the World?
Sure, yeah. Another large aspect of our retreats is our volunteer time. So I think such a unique part of Bloom is being introduced to Give Kids the World, which Give Kids the World is partnered with Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they provide an all-expense paid trip for a wish child who may be terminally ill and their entire family. So they come to the Orlando, Florida area and get to stay in their own condo that looks like a castle in this magical village. It's basically like its own amusement park, pool, arcade. They have everything you can imagine. You can have ice cream for breakfast. So there's all of these volunteer shifts where we get to volunteer in the castle or in a parade or at the ice cream shop, in the dining hall. So all of our employees, all of our full-time employees have had the opportunity to volunteer here. And I can say that it's truly life-changing, and we've received that feedback from our employees as well. And we just have the best stories from our trips. And I'll just give an example, but Michelle and I got to work a shift in the La Tida spa. So we got to do hair, nails, makeup, airbrush tattoos for these children and their siblings. And to watch their faces light up, and not only the wish child, but the siblings, who we've seen parents get emotional because it's a time not only for the wish child to have fun and relax, but also the siblings. And the parents have opened up to us and shared how the siblings have to step up and be a parent in a way because they're also taking care of their brother or sister who may be terminally ill. And it is just so touching to experience, and you feel so honored to have the opportunity to bring a little bit of joy to their lives. And we are just so grateful. It's a life-changing experience. We're so lucky that we get to bring our employees here. And it truly brings all of us together to experience something like this together as a group. We go home after our volunteer shifts. We eat dinner together. We tell our stories to each other. We laugh, we cry. And it's just something near and dear to our hearts and a very large part of our retreats. So it's really special.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. Greg, you have a question?
It's obvious the culture of the company is running and coursing through your veins. You mentioned a couple of times about sharing that with your customers, and I'm interested to know the feedback from the customers as well as how that's been incorporated into more of what you're doing. Because that, it's one thing to have a great Twitter feed, an Instagram, and a Facebook presence, but if that communication is one way, you're only missing, part of the cultural experience. What have you found out as far as it being two ways, which to me gets to the passion and where you really and truly have a customer connection?
Yeah, definitely. So one way that we share our culture is social media is so great, like Instagram stories and just behind the scenes. And like Kaylyn was saying, we are trying to show how we operate as a company, and just being not always just posting these like perfect photos of like a planner on a desk, but really showing the behind the scenes, which people are really interested in. They want to see how a small company works and how people are interacting and what's going on in the office. So we do try and be like real and vulnerable and show what's actually going on in the office via social media, just behind the scenes. But more importantly, I think that we try and use Bloom as a platform. We don't always try and say like, hey, look at us, like, look at our cute products, buy our stuff. We want to say like, hey, like, look at this person, look at what they're doing, and use Bloom as a platform to lift other people up and kind of be that like refractor of their light. And how we do that is in many ways, but one of the most important is we do featured girls. So here's some examples right here. You can nominate somebody on our social media, or we proactively reach out to people who were like, wow, like, she's really doing amazing things in her community. We have women who have started their own charities, women who are giving back in multiple ways, like stay-at-home moms, teachers, anyone who is just doing something that's inspiring and empowering others. We do a spotlight on them and feature them on our social media. We interview them, we do a blog post about them, and just try and raise them up and say like, hey, look at her, and use that to inspire others on our social media to do the same. We also have a cover design contest. So we'll find artists that are amazing and maybe a little bit smaller who don't have like a big following yet, and we try and partner with them to raise them up. And we'll put a feature for them on the back inside cover of the planner, and they get a prize and planners for life. And we do a whole feature on them and their artwork and their story, and really just try and lift people up in that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, and not only our retail customers, but our wholesale customers, our vendors, like, we're bringing everyone into our family and involving them in our culture. So we love to, we'll spotlight and highlight some of our wholesale customers and their store displays on our social media, but we treat all of our customers and vendors like family. So our company holiday is Valentine's Day. So in some of these photos, you'll see us packing Valentines with candy and special notes of love notes and appreciation for our wholesale customers and vendors that are a huge part of what we do and keep our business running. And we want to send our love and gratitude to them. So that has become a yearly tradition for Valentine's Day. Whenever we attend a trade show, we love to spoil our wholesale customers and buy them special gifts, take them out to special dinners, and just show them our appreciation. We're also friends with our customers and vendors outside of any kind of professional setting. We're Facebook friends. We keep in touch personally. We celebrate each other's milestones and successes. And everyone that we work with is truly part of the Bloom family, and we really take them under our wing and just try to love them up.
It's awesome. Yeah, thank you. I do, in this kind of last section of our call, just want to transition quickly into really all of this culture, how you are keeping it alive and going through, this pandemic that everybody, across really the world is dealing with right now. Is everybody's working from home. A lot of companies, if they're lucky enough to still have their employee base working, they're working remotely and they're not seeing each other every day. And I know Bloom is in the same kind of boat as most of those companies too. So I just want to know if you can shed some light on what you're doing right now to keep that company culture going, keep everybody connected, and maybe even, if you have any, what your plans are for after quarantine is over and people can get back into the office.
Do you want me to start, Michelle?
Sure.
So some of the things that we have implemented during quarantine are, we have our morning calls. So we structure that a lot like our team huddles that I mentioned. We will start our morning calls with a one-word barometer. So we're just checking in with everyone to see how they're feeling. Maybe somebody is feeling down or anxious or upset about something, and then we can be aware of that and maybe check in with them later in the day. Maybe somebody is super pumped up and they can share some of that great energy, and we just kind of balance each other out and provide support to each other. we move into our What is Bloom segment that we start every interview meeting. That's just our structure, and it's what is Bloom to you? What does Bloom represent? What does it mean? And we go around, and everybody, that kind of sets the tone of our meeting to really remind us the reason why we do what we do. And in these meetings, we're giving just regular weekly updates. We're having brainstorm sessions. In addition to our morning calls, we also have an afternoon checkout call, and that gives everybody the opportunity to have a one-on-one with each other. So we rotate that. And since we're not able to see each other face-to-face outside of Zoom calls, we still have that one-on-one check-in time. So that has been really successful for us. We're having lots of Zoom calls. I think we've been really inspired by our video chats, not only within the company, but also with our vendors and some of our design partners. We've done the synergy circles that I mentioned on these Zoom calls, and we have gotten such wonderful feedback from our vendors and partners of how that completely made their day. We've, again, had people in tears and just so touched and inspired by these synergy circles. And another thing I wanted to mention is just how strong our relationships are outside of the professional setting. We truly love and care about everyone in our company. So we've already had multiple surprise birthday Zoom call parties. We've had some Zoom happy hours, some Zoom game nights, and we've even had a surprise Zoom bridal shower for one of our employees whose wedding has been postponed. So we're really trying to keep those personal touches and just being thoughtful and, you know, keep that company culture alive even in this difficult time.
Yeah, another funny thing about the we do birth, like I'll show you a picture of our birthdays. We take birthdays very seriously in the Bloom office. This is what we usually do when we're all together. So obviously we can't have that same type of like party face to face, but like Kaylyn said, we're trying. We've had a couple of birthdays so far, and we have one coming up on Sunday. It's Mackenzie's birthday, so we have to do another one. But we'll do a Zoom party, and then we found an online website where you can sign virtual cards. So we've been all signing like virtual cards and sending those out, and still try. And we DoorDashed Katie her favorite dinner for her and her fiance, some Mexican food for her Mexican happy hour. So again, like Kaylyn said, just trying to keep it fun and still stay connected. And I think a really important key to all of this is that routine and sense of normalcy. Like we have our morning call every morning at 8:55. We have our checkout call we get the text at 4:30. We call each other at 5. We still do all of our meetings that we regularly do in the office just virtually. So we have our operations meetings, our design meetings just done virtually. And I've been joking with people. I'm like, I feel like sometimes I see and talk to people in the office almost more now that we've been home because we're checking in so much and trying so hard to stay connected. And it really does make a big difference. I feel like we never really utilized Zoom and FaceTime as much as we should have. And I think that one thing that will change after the quarantine, I think we still will use Zoom, but we were just talking to our factory partners this morning and we were like, why don't we do this once a month? Why don't we talk to them on Zoom face to face? So we've been, we're so lucky to have technologies like Zoom. And I think that we're going to start integrating them more because they really do make you feel connected to people. And we've been bringing in our partners and vendors more than we have before. And it's been really, really successful in just keeping them connected to us.
Awesome. So as we wrap this up, as we come upon our hour here, maybe there's a lot of companies and there's a lot of people out there that want to implement, you know, a company culture that has heart and has all these different components, but maybe they don't know where to start, or maybe they feel like they can't make a change in their particular position within the company. What advice might you give those people that really want to enhance their company culture?
I think a really powerful thing, I'm reading this book, Radical Candor, and it drives home the point that culture isn't just something in your manual. It's not just like a corny statement. It's something that it's a verb. It's like love. It's like something you're actively doing every single day. So you don't need approval to call someone and like brighten their day. It's the energy that you bring to every interaction and every meeting that you're in and every email that you send. There's so many elements, and you're creating culture with every single interaction. So you don't need to wait until it's official. You can affect change now. You can say, hey, like, let's try this fun game that I just thought of and just kind of see what happens. And a lot of things that we do have come up from people just saying like, hey, let's try this. And we're like, that was fun. And then we just keep it and like add it to the manual. So I think it's just suggesting things and kind of like throwing things out there, seeing what sticks. And then if you find something that happens to work, like a little game or a little part of your team meeting, like the one-word barometer, or any of these little tips that we threw around, if you find success with them, document it and make it a part of the process, and make sure that you're going back and repeating it. And that is what makes culture. But that's how I think we've built a lot of the things that we do, is just kind of like having fun with it, and then keeping what we like and cutting what we don't, and building from there. And in the past couple of years, I think our culture has improved so much because we've gotten smarter about operationalizing it and making sure we're not forgetting to do these things. We make sure that they're part of our meeting agendas, and we're reiterating it, and people naturally pick up on it and they enjoy it and they add to those ideas moving forward.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I would say that culture starts from within, and just taking, it sounds so simple, but just showing how invested and how much you care in your employees, and creating that just supportive community, even if it's just between Michelle and I. Like, I think we lead by example, and our employees can see how much we truly care about each other and are invested in each other, not just at work, but outside of work. And I'm constantly asking our employees, you know, about their weekend or things in their personal lives, and just showing that you care and taking that extra step to be thoughtful, like Michelle said, to brighten somebody's day. I think that bonds everybody together. And then from there, you can come up with just the simplest of creative ideas, and those activities together, or those volunteer events, those games, really bring everybody together and create unique experiences. And it just starts there. So just start small with a baby step, and I think you'll have great success.
Awesome. Well, one of the things we want to do within this community is connect everyone. So that's why I said this is going to be our weekly, you know, next, look for our email for our session next week. But would you ladies, will you share your contact information if anybody from the Conscious Capitalism community wants to reach out and talk to you a little bit about culture?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Michelle, MICHELLE @bloomplanners.com.
And my email is Kaylyn, KAYLYN @bloomplanners.com.
Awesome. And what you had mentioned Instagram a few times, or your website if people want to check it out?
Yep, bloomplanners.com is where you can look at all of Bloom's beautiful products, and then you can follow us. It's just @Bloom Daily Planners on any social media platform. If you search that, will come up, and our hashtags are Bloom Girl and Plan to Bloom.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being part of Conscious Capitalism Philadelphia chapter's event today. We thank you very much. Thank you for all the insights.
Thank you for having us.
And I think Greg fell off, so I'll kind of wrap this up and say, like we said, every single week, it might not be a perfect event. It might be awesome. Who knows what's going to come up, but we just want to get into that rhythm of coming together as a conscious capitalism community and finding out ways that we can take different concepts and implement them into our company, especially in this time. You know, in this time, I think there's so many different things that we can focus on, you know, when it comes to profits and problems. But if we focus on culture and if we focus on people, that's really what's going to bring us all together, and it's going to keep us all in the right mindset as we all get through this. So my email is paul@studentmediagroup.com. As I mentioned, I'm one of the board members here, nick@studiomediagroup.com. If there's anything we can do to help our conscious capitalism community, please reach out to us. We're super easily accessible. You are our tribe, and we're so excited to connect with you and hopefully give you a big hug after this is all over and that's socially acceptable. So thank you so much, and have a great one, everybody. Take care.
Bye.